Здравствуйте. Hello and welcome to Russian language class. Before moving on, let's have a quick recap of the previous lesson. So, what all we have learned in the previous lesson? We discussed about the declension of plural nouns and adjectives and demonstrative pronouns as well as possessive pronouns in the plural in the instrumental case, and we have discussed the expression of time. So, let us start with the plural nouns, pronouns and adjectives. S kim razgovarivayut ваши друзья? S kim razgovarivayut? Who are your friends talking to? So, since the question is s kim, we will use the noun in the instrumental case. So, here as we are revising the plural nouns, we have used a plural noun Pripada Vachali. So, how do you decline the noun Pripada Vachali in the instrumental case? So, we add the ya, ma and e, yami at the end to get its instrumental case form. Why yami? Because it ends with a soft consonant. So, the nouns which end with a soft consonant, we add yami, and if the ending is hard, we use ami. So, basically we use two endings with nouns in the instrumental case if the noun is plural. One is ami with the hard ending nouns and yami with the soft ending nouns. One more thing, if the noun is irregular, that means if the noun has irregular plural, then you have to first make its nominative plural, and accordingly you have to decline that noun in the instrumental plural. Now, let us move on to the adjectives. So, how do we decline the adjectives in the instrumental plural? In the instrumental plural, if the ending is ea in the nominative plural, for example, injiskiye. Injiskiye is the nominative plural which ends with e and ye. So, how do we change that into instrumental case? We change ea to with imi, injiskiye, injiskimi. And if the ending is ie, which is another ending of adjectives in the nominative case, then we will change ie into imi. So, these are again two endings in the adjectives in the instrumental case. Now, let us move on to the possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns, for example, here we have used nashi. Nashi is the nominative plural of nash, r. So, how do we change nashi in the instrumental case? We change or we replace e, which is the ending, with imi. So, nashi, nashimi, vashi, vashimi, mai, maimi, twai, twaimi. So, snashimi, injiskimi, pripada vachalimi with our Indian teachers. As you can see, there are three components: first is noun, adjective and possessive pronoun. And similarly, we change the demonstrative pronouns also. So, if the pronoun demonstrative pronoun achi is used, then achi will change to achimi, and if the pronoun che is used, then chemi. So, this is about the declension of plural nouns, pronouns and adjectives in the instrumental case. In the previous lesson, we had also discussed about the question interrogative word kagda and how do we use the words in answer to the question kagda. So, there are certain words like god, meses and nigelia. If we use any of these words, they are used in the prepositional case along with the preposition va or na. God, meses or vek are used in the prepositional case with the preposition va, and nigelia is used with the preposition na. Now, if we use the word chas, minuta, visna, weekdays, seasons, then we use them in the form of accusative case along with the preposition va. For example, chas, minutu, visnu and so on. Now comes the words sledushi and budushi. If you have to use sledushi or budushi in answer to the question kagda, then we have to use the noun in the accusative case along with the preposition na. So, that you have to remember that we are not using the preposition va, we are using the preposition na and the accusative case of the noun. And the last point that we had discussed is there are words like Kashti, Vyes and Seli. If we are using these words in answer to the question Kagda, then they have to be in the form of accusative case without any preposition. So, this is all about the revision of our previous lesson. Now, we will start the lesson. Now, we will continue with the topic that we started in the previous lesson, that is expression of time. So, how do we express time, or how do we answer the question Kagda? So, while answering the question Kagda, if we have to mention either day, month or year or all of them, so which case do we follow, or which form of the words we have to keep them in? So, that we have to discuss in today's lesson. So, I have prepared a table here, just go through the table once and you will get to know, so which case we have to follow while using any of these three components or all of them together. The first condition is when we have to mention day, month and year together. So, if you have to mention day as well as month and the year together in answer to the question Kagda, how will you use them in a sentence? For example, I have written a question here, Kagda vi postupili v universitet. When did you take admission in the university? So, here in answer to this question Kagda, you can use date also, I mean the day, month and year together, or the second circumstance may be when you have to use only month and year. So, here we are not using the day. So, basically we are using month and year together. The third condition may be when we have to use only day and month together, not the year. And the fourth one, when we only mention the year, not neither the day nor the month. So, these are four conditions in which we can answer the question Kagda. So, now we will discuss one by one what are we supposed to use, or which form of the words we are supposed to use while answering the question Kagda. So, let us discuss the first condition when we have to use day, month and year together. So, if we have to do that, we will have to use day, month and year in the genitive case. So, all of them have to be in the form of genitive case. Next condition is when we have to use month and year together. So, if we are doing that, then we have to use month in the prepositional case along with the preposition were, and then genitive case of the year. Once again I am repeating this, you have to use the prepositional case of the month along with the preposition were, and then genitive case of the year. The third condition is when we are using day and month together. For example, if someone asks you what is the day today, Какой день сегодня, or Какое сегодня число, I mean what is the date today. How will you answer this question? Obviously, you will say the day and the month. For example, if in English somebody asks you what is the date today, you will say today is 5th of March or 6th of June and so on. Similarly, if in Russian you have to say that, how will you say that? You have to use the neuter gender of the day and the genitive of the month. And now, the fourth condition, when we are using only the year in the answer. So, if we are using only the year, then we have to follow this condition, that the year has to be in the prepositional case along with the preposition were. So, these are four conditions in which we answer the question Kagda. Now, we will see in the examples how do we use them in the sentences. Let us look at some of the examples of the use of date, month and year in the sentences. For this, I have written a question here, Когда вы поступили в университет? When did you take admission in the university? So, in answer to this question, we can use date, month and year together. We can use month and year together, and we can use only year. So, let us answer this question using date, month and year together. As I have told you then that while mentioning date, month and year together, you have to keep all three of them in the genitive case. So, if you have to say that I got admission on the 1st of April 1995, how will you say that? For the first, we will use the ordinal number первого. So, первый becomes первого. Первого апреля, апрель, апреля, again in the genitive case, and then year 1995 года. So, while mentioning the year, what we are doing is the last digit has to be in the ordinal number and then year, года. So, год, года. So, this is how we mention date, month and the year. Once again I am repeating the same sentence. Я поступил в университет 1 апреля 1995 года. So, here we are using the ordinal number for the last digit and then года. So, the next condition, next situation where we will use only month and the year. So, how do we do that? If I have to say that I got admission in the university in the month of April 1995, в апреле 1995 года. So, here what we are doing is we are mentioning the month in the form of prepositional case along with the preposition в, and then we are mentioning the year in the genitive case. So, this is how we denote the month and the year together. So, the month has to be in the form of prepositional case along with the preposition в, and then the year has to be in the form of genitive case. В апреле 1995 года. Now, the next condition is when we are mentioning only the year. So, когда вы поступили в университет? When did you take admission in the university? Я поступил в университет in the year 1995. В 1995 году. Here, as you are seeing that we are using the year in the prepositional case along with the preposition в. В каком году? In which year? В пятом году. В 1995 году. So, these are three circumstances or three conditions which apply while answering the question когда. Here, the next question or the question can be какого числа, which date. For the next, for the second variant, the question can be in which month, в каком месяце, какого года. And for the third variant, the question can be в каком году, in which year. Now, let us move on to the next example in which we are using only the date and the month. For example, if someone asks you what is the date today, какой сегодня день or какое сегодня число. This is how we ask for a date in Russian. So, how do you answer this question? In English we say today is 15th of March. So, how will you say that in Russian? So, we use the neuter gender for the date and then genitive case of the month. Сегодня 15 марта, and 15 is the ordinal number. So, you have to remember that for the date we are using the ordinal numbers 15 марта, 15th of March. So, this is how we mention the date in answer to the question когда. So, in the next part we will discuss about the prepositions which are used to denote time. The next topic we have is the expression of time with the use of prepositions. So, how do we use different prepositions in expression of time. For this, basically we use cheres and posle, these are two prepositions, and the and pierith. So, basically we use four prepositions: cheres, posle, the and pierith. Cheres and posle, they mean after, and the and pierith means before. So, let us discuss cheres and posle first. Cheres is used with the accusative case of nouns and to denote the duration which is concrete. For example, Goth, Mesets, Nigelia, Chas, Minuta, Secunda. As you can see, all these words denote a concrete period of time: year, month, week, hour, minute and second. Cheres is used to denote the concrete period of time with the accusative case of noun. For example, Ja vernuls в деревню через 2 года. What will be the question for this sentence? Когда вы вернулись в деревню? Когда вы вернулись в деревню? When did you return to your village? So, I came back to my village after 2 years. As you can see, we are using cheres along with the noun Goth. And why Goth here is in Goda, which is the genitive case form of genitive singular of Goth, because of the number dwa. As we have already discussed that after 2, 3, 4 we are supposed to use the genitive singular of the noun. That is why we are using cheres dwa goda, not cheres dwa Goth. Next example, мы встретились друг с другом. We met each other через год. Here we are using год. Why? Because there is no number mentioned here. So, if there is no number, then we are supposed to use the accusative case of the noun. So, accusative case of год is год. So, через год. So, we met each other after year, after a year. So, here as you can see, we are using the accusative case along with the preposition cheres, which means after. The next preposition which means the same thing, which is after, is posle. But the difference between cheres and posle is, while cheres denotes the concrete period of time, posle denotes the period of time which is not concrete. For example, zavtrak. Zavtrak is an action or act of having breakfast or breakfast. Urok, lesson, sabraniye, meeting. As you can see, these nouns do not denote a concrete period of time. So, with these nouns we will not use cheres, we will use the preposition posle, and posle requires the noun in the form of genitive case. So, we cannot use accusative or nominative after this preposition posle, we will use the genitive case of the noun. For example, студенты будут заниматься после обеда. Студенты будут заниматься после обеда. Заниматься is to study. Here после обеда means after lunch. The students will study after lunch. As you can see, обед has been used here in the form of genitive case. Обед, обеда, после обеда. Next example we have is мы пошли домой после урока. Мы пошли домой. Пошли is from the verb пойти, which is a verb of motion. That is why we have used домой. Домой is to house or home. So, we went home after the lesson. As you can see, urok is also used here in the form of genitive case. So, after posle we use the genitive case, after cheres we use the accusative case, and cheres is used to denote a concrete period of time, and posle is used the action which does not denote a concrete period of time. So, this is the difference between cheres and posle. So, now we will discuss the prepositions the and perith, which means before. Another set of prepositions which are used to denote time in Russian is the and perith. Both these prepositions mean before something. So, basically we are denoting an action which takes place before something. So, if both of these prepositions mean the same thing, then what is the difference? The difference is the preposition the, which requires the genitive case of a noun, denotes an action which takes place for a longer duration before something. So, it denotes an action which takes place for a longer duration before something, and the preposition perith, which takes the instrumental case of a noun, it is used to denote an action that takes place immediately before something. So, there is difference between the duration of the preceding action. For example, se studiantes animales da bieda. The first example is used with the preposition the. Se studiantes animales da bieda. All the students studied before the lunch. So, here if we are using the preposition the, it means that this act of studying that took place for a longer duration. So, they studied for a longer duration and then they had their lunch. Whereas, if we use perith, it denotes an action that takes place immediately before something. For example, perith idoi moi papa prinimayat likastva. So, before having food, my father takes medicine. So, here as you can see, the act of taking medicines, it takes place for a smaller duration and takes place immediately before something. So, here we are not using the preposition the, we use the preposition perith, and after perith we use the instrumental case of a noun, and after the we use the genitive case of the noun. So, this is the difference between the and perith, which mean before something. So, this was about the prepositions which are used to denote time or express time in Russian. So, now we will move on to our next topic. The next topic we have is the verbs of definite and indefinite motion. So, this is also a continuation of the verbs of motion which we have already discussed in earlier lessons. So, the verbs of motion can be classified into two groups. The group 1 has the verbs idти, ехать, бежать, лететь, нести, везти and везти, and the group 2 contains the verbs ходить, ездить, бегать, летать, носить, возить and водить. So, what is the meaning of idти? Idти is to go or to come. Ехать is again to go or to come, but on a vehicle. Бежать is to run, лететь is to fly, нести is to carry something on your shoulder, везти is to carry again, but again on a vehicle, вести is to lead or to accompany or to drive. Group 2 are the counterparts of these verbs only. So, ходить is again to go and to come, ездить on a vehicle, бегать to run, летать to fly, носить to carry on your shoulder, возить to carry on a vehicle, and водить is to drive or to lead. So, now what is the difference between these two? Group 1 verbs are called the verbs of definite motion. Why definite motion? Because these verbs denote the movement in one direction. So, if you are going from point A to point B, then we will use the verbs of group 1, but if we are going in several directions or if we are going and coming back also to a point, then we use the verbs of group 2. That is why they are called the verbs of indefinite motion. So, now one more important thing about them is both these verbs or the verbs of both these groups are imperfective verbs, but when we add the prefix per in the group 1 verbs, they become perfective. So, the perfective aspect of verbs of group 1 is obtained by adding the prefix per. For example, paichi, payechach, pabeshach, palichech, panischi, pavischi and vischi, they are perfective aspect. There are no perfective aspects from the verbs of group 2. So, now let us find out the differences in their use. So, how do we use them in sentences in Russian? So, let us go through the examples. I have written a couple of them. Now, I will read out a text. Please listen to the text carefully and pay attention to the use of words. Дорогой преподаватель, извините, что на прошлой неделе я не ходил на уроки. Я очень люблю русский язык, но у меня было много проблем. В понедельник утром мне позвонила мама из Кореи. Она сказала, что скоро в Москву приедет моя сестра. Я поехал в посольство оформлять документы. Во вторник я поехал в университет на трамвай. На улице Профсоюзная была большая пробка. Я ждал в трамвае 6 часов. Потом занятия закончились, и я поехал домой. В среду утром у меня болел живот, и я пошел к врачу. So now I will tell you the meaning of this text. Дорогой преподаватель, dear teacher, извините, что на прошлой неделе я не ходил на уроки. Please forgive me that I didn't come to the classes in the last week. Я очень люблю русский язык, но у меня было много проблем. I love Russian language very much, but I had many problems. В понедельник утром, Monday in the morning, мне позвонила мама из Кореи. I got a call from my mother from Korea. Она сказала, что скоро в Москву приедет моя сестра. She said that my sister would come to Moscow very soon. Я поехал в посольство оформлять документы. That is why I went to the embassy to get the documents verified. Во вторник я поехал в университет на трамвай. On Tuesday, I went to the university on a tram. На улице Профсоюзная была большая пробка. But on the street, which is called Профсоюзная, there was a heavy traffic jam. Я ждал в трамвае 6 часов. I waited in the tram for 6 hours. Потом занятия закончились. And then the classes were over. И я поехал домой. Then I went home. В среду утром у меня болел живот. On Wednesday in the morning, I had stomach ache. И я пошел к врачу. And I went to the doctor. So this was the text, and with this text, I conclude this lesson. So we'll meet in the next lesson. Till then, spasiba, до свидания.